to our meeting tonight. I would like to welcome Don Stevens, Director of Education, who is attending our meeting this evening. John Playford, Superintendent of Education, who will be bringing Indigenous education updates this evening. And Robin Dashney, Assistant Superintendent of Education, who will be bringing our mental health and well-being updates. And if I could please get Carla Palozzo to read the land acknowledgement for us tonight, that would be great.
I think we lost her again, Lisa.
Oh.
Do you have it there?
I don't have it in front of me. Let me just pull it up.
I can do it if you'd like.
Okay, that would be great.
Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabeg people. The Anishinaabeg include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and supporting the reconciliation of Indigenous peoples here in Simcoe County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is our PIC mandate. So as always, PIC mandate is to support, encourage, and enhance parent engagement at the board level to improve student achievement and well-being, to provide information and advice to the board on parent engagement, to communicate with and support school councils, and to undertake activities to help parents support their children's learning at home and at school. And at this time, I'm looking for a motion that the agenda be approved as printed. I got Mirdad and Fatima seconding. So the motion to approve the agenda has been carried. And then at this time, I'm looking for a motion that the minutes from January 21st, 2025 be approved as printed. So I have Trish and Mirdad as seconding. Thank you. So the motion to approve the January 21st, 2025 meeting has been carried. So next we're on to items for decision. And then the first on our list is the Connections 2.0 event presenter and dates. So we would like to have Ulrika Job present virtually on April 29th and in person on May 20th at the Education Center. Ulrika is a parent coach, child and family counselor, and connected parenting therapist. Each of her presentations will be an hour and a half long. The presentation on April 29th, is outlined as let's take a deeper dive into our emotions, learn about the child and teenage brain, how to keep lines of communication open, how to talk feelings with children and teens, and how not to lose your temper in the big moments. So I do require a motion to approve the speaker and the dates for the 2.0 Connections event. So I have Mirdad and Maria. That the Parent Involvement Committee approve the April 29th and May 20th dates. And that Ulrika will be the presenter. So workshop 1 is to create a meaningful connection with your child in a hyper-connected world. And workshop 2 is parenting unplugged, learning how to talk tech with your child, set limits without the battles, and balance tech time and FaceTime. So what I'm looking for now is a show of hands of who would like to have workshop 1 be presented for May 20th, and a show of hands for who would like workshop 2 to be presented for May 20th, which is the second. So if I can see a show of hands for workshop 1, and I'll just remind everybody that one is to create a meaningful connection with your child in a hyper-connective world. So show of hands of who would like workshop 1. So I have 3, Mirdad, Sarah, and Maria. And then the second workshop is Parenting Unplugged. Learn how to talk tech with your teen, set limits without the battles, and balance tech time and FaceTime. So if I could have a show of hands of who would like workshop 2 for the May 20th date. Okay, so let me clarify. We're trying to decide between 1 and 2. So we already have the let's take a deeper dive into our emotions, learning about the child and teenage brain, how to keep lines of communication open, how to talk feelings. We have that set for April 29th. So it's going to be a 2-part connections. We have 1 date for April 29th and 1 date for May 20th. So it's basically we're asking our PIC members which of the 2 workshops you would rather have for the second one, which is the May 20th date. So again, workshop 1, create a meaningful connection with your child in a hyper-connective world. Let me just see a show of hands of who would like that. So I have Fatima, Mirdad, Maria. And then workshop 2, Parenting Unplugged, learn how to talk tech with your teen, set limits without the battles, and balancing tech time and FaceTime. And then a show of hands of who would like workshop 2. So I have Natricia, Sarah,
And Carla.
Carla-
So
and Carla.
you were at a tiebreaker. You're 3 and 3.
Okay.
Okay.
like
I would like workshop 2, please. My daughter is
Okay.
monitoring my phone.
Okay.
So
So you
Melissa's
are
our
at
tiebreaker,
3
and
and
actually,
4. Melissa's your tiebreaker. So it is workshop 2.
okay,
Workshop.
perfect. That works
Thank
out for
you.
me. I like 2 as well. Okay, so do we need to do a motion for that one? No, we're
No, that
okay.
one was just a vote. You've
So with
already
majority of
approved the
choice as
speaker.
workshop 2 will be the topic for our May 20th event. We will also be joined by the Mental Health and Wellbeing Department to provide breakout rooms to discuss various topics. So our first date on April 29th will be virtually, and our second date on May 20th will be in person at the Education Center. And then, like I said, we will be joined by the Mental Health and Wellbeing Department to provide breakout rooms to discuss various topics. So next on our items for decision is funding for the Connections 2.0. So the 2024, 2025 School Council Connection event, the cost for Ulrika to provide 2 workshops is $1,500. We would also likely provide refreshments for the in-person event. We will not have another meeting before the event. So we're thinking to err on the side of caution and approve up to $3,000. I would require a motion to approve the spending amount for the event. So do I have somebody to, so I have Mirdad to move it and Fatima to second it and Sarah. That's seconded that the Parent Involvement Committee approved the maximum amount of $3,000 on the Connection event that has been moved and carried. So next up is our items for information. So we're going to start with, at this time, is the final formal meeting of the year, and this will be our final update for the mental health and well-being. So Dawn Franks and Robin Dashnay are here to speak on behalf of the mental health and well-being updates. I'll turn it over to you both now.
Good evening. My name is Robin Dashney. I had the pleasure of meeting some of the members of PIC last week when Susan and I met with a few members of the committee. So that was a pleasure. So I'm really happy to be here this evening to introduce myself to everyone. I'm Assistant Superintendent of Education, and my role is really to support the portfolios of our Associate Director, Dean Maltby. One of those portfolio pieces being the mental health and well-being component. So I wanted to come introduce myself And it's good timing because Susan and myself and Don Franks have connected about supporting your PIC event. And we are Don's going to spend a couple minutes talking about a new parent resource that has become available through School Mental Health Ontario. And that will be part of our focus for the PIC event in May. And Don also tells me that we can help out with some treats too, Don Franks, which is always good to have some extra treats available. So we'll be doing that as well. So we're here to support the event any way that we can for that May evening. And I will turn it over to Don Franks, who will talk a little bit more about this new resource from School Mental Health Ontario.
Thank you, Robin, and thank you for having me again. It's nice to see everyone. So I am going to try to share my screen. 1 second. Oh, Kim Sobe, sorry, are you able to let me share my
Susan, are you
screen?
able to do it? I'm not for some reason.
So I just sent you a request, sorry.
Yeah, I just did that, I think.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Okay, are you able to see my screen? I can't see
Yeah, we got
so
that.
yeah,
Yes.
okay,
Good now,
thank
Don.
you. Okay, so I am on a public website, which is provided to us from School Mental Health Ontario. And just as a reminder, School Mental Health Ontario is funded by the Ministry of Education. It is a provincial implementation support and resource who partners with school districts across the province of Ontario to provide quality resources and guidance. So they have recently released a parent and caregiver resource to support mental health learning and well-being for every family. And we know that our parents and our caregivers, we want to partner with them. I know that they want to partner with our adults in our schools, and that we all want our children to be physically and mentally healthy. So this toolkit recognizes the expertise of parents and caregivers and offers resources to support learning and strengthen mental health and well-being in every family. So just quickly, it is an online resource, as you can see, and it's designed to meet the diverse needs of Ontario families. And the resources and supports were created in collaboration with parents and caregivers, School Mental Health Ontario, or school mental health professionals from Ontario school boards and School Mental Health Ontario themselves. These resources, and I'll scroll down in a minute, have been made available in multiple formats, including there's some web content, some PDFs, some videos, and they've indicated that some webinars for parents will be launched soon. So as you can see, as I scroll down, that they have a resource hub. And they have topics that include understanding mental health, promoting mental health at home, supporting mental health at school, stress and anxiety management, substance use prevention, navigating digital technology use, and reaching out for help. So we are currently, we will get a link to this information loaded on our SCDSB public website, also sharing it out through our staff e-news. So our staff in our schools are aware and use it as a resource to share with parents. So we wanted to make you aware here as well. And Robin had mentioned about the PIC event in May. And so at the same time, the ministry has provided school boards with some in-school year funding to provide some intentional learning and awareness campaigns for parents and caregivers around how to knowledge around informed decision making of substance use in youth, as well as informed decision making around cell phone use. And so how to build capacity and awareness amongst parents to support conversations for yourselves with your children and your youth. So what we would like to do at the PIC event is for the last portion of the evening, is we will be highlighting this parent and caregiver resource with an intentional focus on the two learning hubs in there that focus on substance use prevention and navigating digital technology use. So we look forward to collaborating on that and bringing that focus. And we do feel like it's a nice extension and fit with the event that you have planned. What I will also do is I can put the link to this resource in the chat for everybody to have, and I can also send it along to Susan and Melissa to put in the minutes if that's helpful. So I encourage you to check it out. If you have any questions, feel free to connect with me. And if there's any connection or questions now, I can certainly do my best to try to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for Dawn? I don't see any questions for you tonight, Dawn, but thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'll put the link in the chat and then I will sign off, and wishing everybody a wonderful evening.
Great, thanks. You have a good evening too.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
So thank you again. So next up on our agenda is Superintendent Playford with the final Indigenous education update for this evening.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone again. I will keep this one brief. I know we have had a few presentations the last few meetings, but just a few things that are coming up in the not too distant future. In April, the end of April, we are having hosting for the second year the Anishinaabe-Moan Conference, better known as the Ojibwe as a Second Language Conference. And we are doing a 2-day conference this year. So with some feedback and some ideas and thoughts from the department, we will be looking at the first day at Springwater Park. For those of you who are familiar with Springwater Park, it's just down the road from the Education Center, and we do a lot of activities in collaboration with them. But the first day is all on land-based learning. So a couple of things they're doing is learning about Anishinaabe-Moan origins, so language origins and culture, and the significance of a traditional game called Bagadawi. And then they'll actually be playing that, using the language in those active activities. And then some other land-based learning throughout the rest of the afternoon. And then the second day will be at the Education Center, and Director Stevens and my colleague S.O. Sidlowski will remember that last year we had a very full house in the Ed Center, and representatives will come from all over Region 4, Area 4, and which includes all the way to Peterborough, school boards, down south, out west to Blue Water, a little further west. So a lot of representatives come, superintendents, Ojibwe language teachers. We have Ministry of Education representatives come, local Indigenous organizations, as well as representatives from Rama First Nations and Beausoleil First Nations. So it is a full house, but it is very well received. A lot of learning goes on. And we'll see how the 2-day event goes this year. I believe that everyone is very excited. All those that I talked to after the event last year were very impressed with the board, the county. I think some people like to get away from the southern boards and come up to us for a little bit of a break, as opposed to everybody going down south. So that is at the end of April, and then a month later in May, the 20th and 29th, we are holding our Indigenous Student Symposium. So same idea, 2 days, except it's not the same students both days. We are trying to keep the student population smaller, so there's more input, more learning. So half of the students that are interested in coming will come on the first day of the 28th, and we'll repeat the same thing on the 29th. So the focus of that is we're going to look at grade 11 students, and I'll just read here so I don't get anything wrong. The symposium aims to celebrate Indigenous culture, provide career insights, and foster a sense of community among participants. And the focus this year, it's quite interesting, is that we're focusing on intergenerational students. So we're trying to get students that were students within the board of all generations. So we had reached out to an elder who was 90, who would have been interested, except they said, I'm kind of done with doing events. I'm scaling back. So we will have people of all generations there, and speaking to a number of themes. So arts and entertainment, STEM and the trades, entrepreneurship, and education itself. So a number of the presenters on the panel will be members of our team. We have a very diverse team, and some other people from the community. So trying to keep the student population down to about 60 each day so that there's lots of interaction. I know that when students and community members and others get together, it's a lot of interaction and contact and a lot of learning. So that is at the end of May. And I can, if you're interested, I can easily give you an update on both of those. I believe, Susan, there's a meeting in June, is there? There's no meeting in June?
Our last meeting is May 27th.
Well, I can, if anybody just wants to reach out at any point, I'm happy to give updates, but maybe in the meeting in May, if anybody wants to just tap me on the shoulder and ask how the Anishinaabe conference went, I'm happy to answer any questions. So that is what we have for tonight.
So we do,
Perfect.
our last meeting is on May 27th. It is at the Ed Center and in person. So you are most welcome to come join us that night. It will be a fun night as usual.
Absolutely. Is there any questions from either of those upcoming events?
Does anybody have any questions for Superintendent Playford? I don't see any questions at this time. Thank you very much for joining us tonight in our meeting.
My pleasure.
Lisa, my
yes,
apologies. I do have a question. I just wanted to remind the superintendent that he did promise for us to use the virtual reality for the Indigenous education based on his last presentation that he had shared with us at our last meeting.
That's right. So, and thank you for reminding me. And it's on my board to make sure we have a few of the VR headsets, and
Yes.
we'll bring. So just so you know, we also have iPads in the classrooms, because some students get a little bit dizzy when they have the headsets on, which is understandable. So we will make sure that we have some of those, or we can project, maybe we can project on the screen what people are seeing in the headsets. If you don't want to use it, you can actually see what they're doing. So we'll set things up for you. And if you're brave enough, you want to try, we can make sure that some things are available.
We love that. Thank you for that reminder.
Thank you.
Melissa.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, everyone. And thank you again for joining us at our meeting tonight. Next up on our agenda is our PIC member updates. Are there any updates from any PIC members or information from school councils that anybody would like to share?
Lisa, Melissa
Yes,
again.
Melissa?
I have a question, and maybe Susan is able to bring some clarification. I know it's an issue that we struggled with even at Marshview and Vera School. So many of the elementary school have started to do a lot of auction within the school to generate funds to support the school needs. And one of the issues that they've been having is not so much the advertising, it's how to have parents pay or pretty much bid on whatever item they're auctioning off. So I had a school that reached out to me and wanted to know if the school had a online platform that is user-friendly and safe for parents to do their bidding and make payment, if that's even an option.
So Melissa, that is not an option that we have available to us. However, as you know, with silent auctions, they can write and make their bid, and then parents can submit through Cash Online.
Okay, so school cash online is an option. So what
Mhm.
I did share with that particular school and what I know Marshview have been doing is we have an area within the school that we set up whatever item that's available for auction, and parents would have an allotted time that they would come in and view those items, make their bid. And it was also partnered with the parent engagement night. So it was the follow-up to where parents can make their final bidding.
Mhm.
However, I'm not sure if this particular school was having a setback or it was their first time trying out this particular fundraising initiative. So they had reached out to find out if there was something that the school board had set up. I did share with them that I don't believe so. And we also have to remember, oh gosh, my brain is so scattered right now.
So Melissa, you can
Information.
definitely tell the
Information.
school. Yeah, the
Parents,
school can reach out.
yes.
And I'd be happy to answer that question, but we don't have an application that we currently use
Mhm.
to help facilitate that silent auction right now.
Okay.
But the winning bid can use school cash online to submit the funds to the school.
Okay. Okay. So that's an
Okay.
option as well. That's also an option. But I did speak to them about the safety of personal information as well. And so we also have to be mindful of people's personal information being floating around, and with all the scamming issues that's been happening in around us in the last little while. So they're a bit disappointed, but I will definitely take back this piece of information to them because something is better than nothing. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your dad?
Yes, so this wasn't any of my schools, but as I am in some groups that the parents are there, I see that some parents are concerned about these school bus cancellation due to snowy days, that this year it's too many of them and we can't do anything about it. The only concern that they have is that when students are home and they don't go to school because of a school bus cancellation, they don't have that much of assignment or online activities. They may have it, but it's not as much. So I see that many parents, it's not one or two, they commented and they were concerned. So I like to see that. How can we help?
So with school bus cancellations, the Simcoe County Student Transportation Consortium is the one that really makes the decisions to cancel buses. And it really is based on road conditions and safety of all students, right?
Yeah.
So, ultimately we want everybody to be safe. We want everybody to arrive to school, when they get there safely. That being said, this year it's been pretty snowy out there. We have had a record, I believe it is 53 centimeters of snow. The last time that happened was 30 years ago, where we received 102 centimeters of snow. So it's been 30 years, and it's quite some time. So it really is for safety. And that being said, there are days I know as a child I was super excited about snow. That is learning as well, and that also contributes to mental health and well-being, getting the fresh air. That being said, some of our students really don't like to go outside and that they do want to be inside. We do have asynchronous learning that they can participate in, and those options are available to all our students. It is a matter of just logging in onto their Google Classroom to get the learning materials that they need. I know that in my younger years, I would have absolutely told my parents that, nope, there's nothing online. Well, in my age, there really was no online. But I would have said that there's nothing online, and I would have just said, you know what, I'm going out to play. And so that really isn't such a bad option either, but absolutely, we do have asynchronous learning for all our students. And, you know, parents can absolutely go into the Google Classroom and see what is available to support our students and their continued learning. So it is definitely an option. We have for the secondary schools, the D2L platform, where there are always assignments and things that students can work on.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And I'd also add that, you know, as a parent, I think that you can either reach out to the teachers or have your students reach out to the teachers as well. I know my daughter does not particularly like online learning at all, and she was struggling with some of the assignments that were assigned asynchronous, however you say that. And I just told her, reach out to your teacher. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, I will reach out to your teacher, but make sure your teacher knows that you're not understanding it, that you don't learn well, and that you need, you know, additional support. So I think just having that conversation with teachers and with your children too.
I like personal when Simcoe Country District School Board take high precautions, because I almost for these snow days, I almost have like 2 accidents during the road with my husband. So I was pretty sure that I like that they take all these kind of precautions, you know, like I think the most important thing when it's snow days is to take care of the kids, and not only the kids, teachers, community, parents, and everyone. I know sometimes it's kind of frustrated just to have them at home, but I mean, I prefer not to take any risk in terms of the snow days. It was so slippery, and I almost have also 2 accidents. So thanks God I am here, but I like that they do that.
Perfect. Sorry about that. I do have something. Yes, following up what Susan said, yes, it's a necessary that we are having some snow days. Students have fun for mental health. But yet the day that they cancel all the schools levels for the staff, that day it was announced 7:30, I believe so. So some staff, they said we're already on the way. So it was announced, I believe, a little late that the schools completely canceled.
And I think that the difficulty is, you know, predicting the weather, right? Even the weatherman gets it wrong sometimes. But we do try our best to make sure that, and some schools do start earlier than others. And really it is, you know, making sure that when we have the correct information, the right information to support schools, we do make that announcement.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. I actually had a council chair reach out to me, and maybe you can help answer this question. But her question was, do schools have to maintain minutes, agendas, that kind of thing, like a binder with all that information in their schools? And who sort of does that? Is it the office? Is it the council chairs?
Sorry, Lisa, what was the question?
So for council meetings, right? You know how there's like an agenda and then there's minutes and all that kind of stuff. Is all of that supposed to be maintained in a binder in the office?
Yes.
And then who is supposed to do that?
The chair.
The
Or
chair.
the secretary, yeah. So
Okay.
the secretary, whoever the recording secretary is, and if there is no recording secretary, it should be the chair or the vice chair who maintains a binder of all the minutes. Minutes should also be sent out on a regular basis to all committee members and really to parents, right? So that they're aware of what's happening at the school level. But there is and should be a binder of all minutes and agenda items that can be accessible by any parent in that school.
Yeah, that was my understanding. I just wasn't sure who was responsible for maintaining it. Like I know in some previous schools I've been to, the principals have done it, but I didn't know if that was, they sort of just took it upon themselves to have something in their office or if it was supposed to be maintained by the chairs.
So technically, school council meetings are run by the chair, school council. The principal is really an invited guest to your council meetings, and it is the school council chair who maintains that information if there is no recording secretary.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other updates from PIC members or information from school councils? Yeah, I don't see any additional updates. So at this time, next on our agenda is board updates, and I've got trustee updates, either trustee Grummett or trustee Connors. Do you have any updates to share on behalf of the board?
I can share some, and trustee Connors, I'm not sure if I've missed something you want to share. Sorry, my dog's just barged into the door as soon as I unmuted it. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Everything was quiet, and then they just barged in the doors. Okay. Sorry, so maybe trustee Connors, I can share some, and then if you have something you want to share, that would be great. And my dog is drinking so loud. I feel like it's the pandemic days. All right, so I was going to talk about snow, and I was going to talk about snow days. So I appreciate, Meredith, that you brought that up, and I think it's a big conversation, and I've certainly had lots of parents reach out, you know, about concerns. My schools are, a lot of them are in the north. So I think we are on day 18. Is that our last snow day? Yes. So certainly lots of conversations, and it's tricky. Like, I think it's hard. The weather has been very different, and like Susan said, 30 years it's been. So tomorrow night at our board meeting, I know there is a verbal presentation from Superintendent McLean to talk about snow days. So, you know, please either, you know, visit us for the meeting or watch us online. There'll probably be some really great questions and conversations. So I encourage you to listen, but it's tough. And I wouldn't want the job of any one of the, whether it's the transportation or you know, Don Stevens, it's tricky, it's hard, right? So I think everybody's doing the best they can. I wanted to share that we had our student trustee elections last week. And I don't know how much everyone knows about our student trustees, but each year we have 3 student trustees that are elected through their schools, and then they join us for the school year and participate, and it's incredible. It's an opportunity to have a credit earned, there's projects. I've been very lucky to work with Superintendent Sidlowski for the last couple of years with these student trustees, so I love it. You know, it's wonderful to have young people learn more about, you know, the work we do. So we just had those elections, and I think Superintendent Sidlowski, this was our best representation. Sometimes we don't have all the secondary schools, you know, have somebody who wants to take on this, you know, it's a big challenge. But this year, I think we had all 10 secondary schools participate. So then they vote among themselves, and I was able to hear the speeches, and I love it. It's great. It's great to see young people, you know, enthusiastic about, you know, getting involved with their community. We also had some information about adjusting some bell times in order to, you know, save some money around transportation. I'm not sure if folks saw that in the news. It affected, I believe, West Bayfield School and Forest Hill Public School. So again, you know, trying to be creative on how we can save money, and because, you know, transportation is an expensive, you know, situation that we don't receive the funding that we need to, I don't know, Susan, how you want me to say that? We don't receive the funding, right? As well as we could, right?
We could use a little bit more, yes.
We could use a little bit more. And then I think I just wanted to share, we have a new school opening in Oro-Medonte on Horseshoe Valley Road. I don't know if anyone has traveled that road. It's well underway. I think we're ahead of schedule. And we have confirmed like the boundaries for the attendance area. So that's another great topic that people want to really share their input. So I'm excited for the new school. So I don't know, Trustee Connors, if you have anything that I missed or you want to share?
Just at the end of January, there was a bunch of us that went to the PES conference, which is held by OPSPA, to do some trustee learning. They have many topics and guest speakers that come in, and it's a great learning opportunity for us. I think that's about it. We haven't, we had a snow day also. We had one board meeting canceled because it wasn't safe to drive. So that one has been postponed. So there hasn't been a lot since our last meeting.
Great, thank you, Trustee Gromit and Trustee Connors. And does anybody have any questions for either of our trustees? I don't see any questions. Thank you for coming out
I
tonight.
think I have one question.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Regarding the opening the schools in Oromadante, what do you have any update for Shandy Bay School? Because some parents reach out.
I'm not sure where we're at with communications, to be honest. Dawn, I'm not sure if you're able to. I know we know some things, but I'm not sure where we are in sharing.
I think there's planned communications at the end of this month, so soon.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on our, again, thank you for coming out tonight. Next on our agenda is staff updates. And if we can start with superintendent updates and ask Susan to share her updates.
Thanks, Lisa. Pink Shirt Day is an annual event against bullying held in Canada. Participants wear pink shirts and attend or host informative events to raise awareness about bullying, particularly in schools. The original event was organized in 2007 by two grade 12 students named David Shepard and Travis Price of Berwick, Nova Scotia, who brought and distributed 50 pink shirts after 9th grade student Chuck McNeil was bullied for wearing a pink polo shirt during the first day of school at Central Kings Rural High School in Cambridge, Nova Scotia. Pink Shirt Day is observed on the last Wednesday of February of each year. So we will be observing Pink Shirt Days tomorrow. And in recognition of International Women's Day, the SCDSB has planned a one-day conference on Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, called Inspire, to celebrate the tremendous strength and resilience of young women and gender diverse students in our schools, and will focus on self-advocacy, self-care, self-confidence, and building community. And finally, two events by the DEI department. The first will be held on March 26, 2025, and that will be at Maple Ridge Secondary School. It is a full day event. It is in collaboration again with the DEI department and Making Change. They've planned a one-day conference aimed to provide SCDSB students a platform for networking, inspiration, and self-advocacy. The keynote speaker for this event is Michael Pinball Clemens, and he will be sharing his journey of overcoming the odds, emphasizing the importance of personal excellence, teamwork, and community leadership. And finally, on April 7th, 2025, at the Education Center, this too is a full day event for secondary students. The SCDSB's DEI department has planned a one-day conference to celebrate the anniversaries of two incredible milestones, the 35th anniversary of the word Two-Spirit and the lesbian, gay, bi, trans, LGBT purge. Attendees will participate in two interactive workshops, providing opportunities for participants to take away ideas that they will be able to implement upon returning to schools, to their families, and in their personal lives. So those are my updates.
Thank you for your updates. Does anybody have any questions on superintendent updates? Perfect, thank you. So we'll move on to principal updates. So Principal Cook has sent regrets for this evening, but I have Vice Principal McCabe will be bringing the elementary updates on her behalf.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's always, I was excited that Lindsay's not here, so I can say she's not here because she gave me great notes. So I got to read her notes in advance. So that really helped me tonight. And actually, a lot of what's happening in elementary and secondary really align. Both in elementary and secondary, we celebrated Black History Month and Chinese Heritage Month with activities, announcements, some art and music projects, and some field trips, both in elementary and secondary. Report cards. So term 2 for elementary and semester 1 report cards went home from secondary. Right now, actually, this is a great time where elementary and secondary are collaborating because we're working on transitions for next year. So our students, both with IEPs and our students who are coming in from grade 8, all of our grade 8s are being met with our teams, guidance counselors, CERTs, and resource teachers to make sure that we have a nice transition into secondary school. And the big push right now is course selection. We're trying to get all of our secondary students finishing their course selections so that we can start building timetables and planning for next year. There's both a math PLCs in elementary and secondary, so a big push on improving our math outcomes for students, both in both panels, which is really awesome. Sports also are aligning. Our basketball, our volleyball is ending, and we're moving into our spring sports. So a lot of the final either tournaments or competitions, even skiing and some of the winter sports are all coming to an end right now, where I was actually seeing students signing up for all the spring sports the other day up on the board. So it gives us a little optimism as I'm hearing about canceled buses that we're moving to warmer days. I actually had some kids commenting on that they could see the pavement today. So I was pretty excited about seeing pavement today as well. And Susan has already mentioned this, but Pink Shirt Day's tomorrow. So there's activities planned in all of our schools, and we'll all be coming out with our pink shirts to really bring awareness to the fact that we don't accept bullying in schools and promoting safe spaces for all of our kids. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for bringing both the elementary and the secondary updates to us. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, perfect. Again, thank you for coming out tonight. So next on our agenda, social media highlights. Jamie Campbell, Manager of Communications, will share our social media highlights.
Thanks, Lisa. For this month's meeting highlights, I have that the SCDSB's Parent Involvement Committee met tonight. Here are some highlights. Dawn Franks, mental health leader, shared an online resource for parents and guardians available through School Mental Health Ontario. By Your Side, a hub of resources to support mental health learning and well-being for every family, is available at, and I've included the link that Dawn provided. John Playford, Superintendent of Education, shared information about the Ojibwe as a Second Language Conference and the Indigenous Student Symposium happening this spring. The Parent Involvement Committee will be hosting 2 events this April and May for all parents and guardians. More information will be shared on the SCDSB website. School council chairs are encouraged to log into their school council email account. A new update from your Parent Involvement Committee representative will be shared in the coming days. The next regularly scheduled Parent Involvement Committee meeting will take place on May 27th, 2025. Learn more about the Parent Involvement Committee and a link to our website.
Great. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Thank you.
So next on our agenda is correspondence, and we do not have any correspondence for this meeting. Following that are other matters. I don't believe we have any other matters unless anybody, Natricia.
Yeah, I do. I just need to disclose that at the end of January, I was hired on by the board as a half-time permanent EA.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mirdad?
I just clapped for her.
Oh, sorry. It just looked like a hand up to me. Thank you. So if there's no other matters, Notice of motion for the next meeting. Are there any notices of motion for our next meeting? Okay, so I would like to remind everybody that our next meeting will be April 29th, which is our Connections 2.0 meeting, which is virtually. The meeting after that is May 20th, which is our second Connections 2.0 meeting, which is in person at the Education Center. And then our final meeting is May 27th, which is also in person at the Education Center. And just to let everyone know that Susan has the second half of the outdoor education program booked for us. And also hopefully our VR. That's awesome. And so sounds like we got a lot going on. I look forward to seeing everybody. And at this time, if there's no further discussion, I would like to make a motion to adjourn our meeting. Time being 6:51. I have Mirdad and Fatima. So moved and seconded. And thank you everyone for coming out tonight. It was great seeing everyone's faces and hearing all of our updates.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Lisa.
Thank you. Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Night.